Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
The speaker for today is SHAUN Parry. SHAUN has performed on Broadway, the Metropolitan Opera, Carnegie Hall, Madison Square, and numerous international stages. Mr. Parry has also traveled the globe as a humanitarian, establishing life coaching programs for thousands of impoverished youth and certifying life coaches through his NGO, Promethean Spark International. He presented at the first World Parliament on Spirituality in Hyderabad, India in 2012 and was a keynote speaker and artistic director for the second World Parliament on Spirituality as well, that happened in Salt Lake City, USA, 2016. SHAUN is a resident of New York City and he's one of the 10 siblings and has 45 nieces and nephews. Thank you so much, SHAUN, for being a part of our session today. And your topic today is experiential learning, cognitive dissonance, and you. So all over to you, SHAUN.
So welcome and best wishes to you, SHAUN. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here. This is very exciting. And you see here, make sure my settings are correct as we move into this next part. I am so thrilled to be at this magnificent conference. I'm going to open the screen share here and let you see this wonderful Third World Parliament on Spirituality. And thank you, Dr. Yugandhar. Thank you to your whole team for making this possible. And this has been a monumental accomplishment thus far. We still have a couple of more continents to go, but I'm thrilled to be a part of it. And today, I'm going to be speaking about enlightenment and the role that detachment and experiential learning have to play in it. And specifically as those connect with the arts and the culture. I'll tell you a few stories and use some art and culture to tell you the message that I have today. So first and foremost, I was in Japan, and this sign says, "Koko ni gomi o shite nai de kudasai." So knowing Japanese, I know that the translation was a little bit off. It says, "Do not dump here." Not dumb area here. So hopefully there will be no dumbing here today. And that this won't be a dumb area. But I wanted to share this because the true translation is, "Do not throw out garbage here. Do not cast your garbage here." So no dumping is what they were trying to say. So, but an interesting thing, as we look at enlightenment, oftentimes we do need to detach from our attachments in order to reach a state of enlightenment along our journey. For enlightenment isn't a destination, it is a state of being along the journey. And sometimes we do have to dumb here. Sometimes we have to be in a state of ignorance. And when I say sometimes, actually that's all the time, because we're evolving, we're changing. And we get to dumb here consistently because there are things we don't know along the path ahead of us. And so it's very important to be okay with being dumb or being ignorant of those things that we're not ready for yet. And that's a beautiful thing. And as creators, oftentimes, even when we transform, so say we're attached. So we're attached to things that we think now we go, oh, how could I be attached to that? For instance, we're all similar to the caterpillar. So as beautiful and wonderful as this organism is, and this caterpillar, the caterpillar is attached to crawling in the dirt. Oftentimes we are attached to crawling in the dirt. And we get to release that attachment to crawling in the dirt, which is proper for that level of advancement and for that understanding. And it's perfectly fine for the caterpillar until it's ready to transform and become a glorious soaring butterfly. Go into that cocoon and make that transformation. And to create, so we are creators, just like God is the supreme source and creator of us and of the universe. We have been given that beautiful, beautiful creative power. And interestingly enough, we don't really create. We like to say we're creators, but we're actually recreating, for everything has already in the eternities been created, and we are just reorganizing. We're taking things that we've learned, and it's all out there in the Akashic record, and it's all there, and we're just recreating things as we learn to be creators in our own right. And it's so fascinating that even after we've transformed, let's see here, there we go. Even after we've transformed and we're in this beautiful state of soaring, sometimes we have attachments that hang on, and we're dragging it along with us, and that's okay too. That's part of the process. That even if we're in an enlightened state, we will deal with some of these earthly illusions in the Maya that we get to figure out. And it's part of the experiential learning process. If this weren't the case, then God would not have sent us here over and over and sent us all of these obstacles and experiences through which we would be able to learn wisdom and grow. For the ancients, the sages of many different scriptures and practices of all time have said that there must be opposition in all things. Otherwise, number one, we would not exist. Number two, we wouldn't learn and grow. So we get to deal with the yin yang. We get to feel what it's like to have that attachment, and then to try to figure out how to move through that and figure that out and process it. And one of the most amazing and beautiful bridges between the spiritual and the physical realm is the arts. And it's powerful. I'm going to tell you a quick story about when in 2005, I was asked to go to Peru, and I ended up in Ventanilla, Peru. And I was teaching master classes for the National Ballet Company of Peru. And I was brought out to see what the majority of the people of Peru live like. And this is a picture of that. And I ended up agreeing, this is a quick version of this story so that I can get on and end in time. But I ended up working with 30 teenage boys from those slums. And it was so fascinating to me that when I first started working with them, they were not in a place to receive what I was going to give them. They couldn't take a normal class and be organized and respectful and just sit there for, not sit there, it was actually movement and dance that I was working with them on. And, but interestingly enough, they were in a space of cognitive development. So I didn't understand this at the time, but many years later, and this was the catalyst for me diving in to understand what was truly going on. And after I built my nonprofit and started working in this area, I understood that the brain, so the prefrontal cortex of the brain actually is the last to develop. And if we never challenge that part of the brain, so it's the executive functions of the brain that happen there. So it's communication on all levels. It's symbolism, it's abstraction, it's logic, it's reasoning, critical thinking skills, complex problem solving, the things we use every single day to navigate life, right? And then to create and consciously create the life we want. Well, if you don't challenge those, and they're not challenged specifically by your parents and schooling as you grow up, then there's an arrested development in the brain, and you don't learn to do that, and you live at that level the rest of your life. And so these guys had tried to break forth out of this level of arrested development. And I, as my mentors in the past and now have been called to help me, I was called to help them. And I was in a place to be able to teach them. So I offered to do that, and we worked bridging the gap between the physical world and the spiritual world using the arts. And it was so powerful and beautiful. And I was inspired to create this methodology that wasn't just teaching dance and music, but was actually teaching life skills, discipline, focus, goal setting, perseverance, respect, and creativity, and all of these things that are steps into being able to live on an enlightened level. For it's this process through which we are able to understand what it is and to live in that space and move forward. And so we worked hard. I stayed there for a few months, and these are some of the skills in the spiritual realm that we began to work on, and that we laid a foundation for through experiential learning. Because interestingly enough, and I found that we learn by listening, and we can learn concepts, and that's great, but we become by doing. And our purpose here on earth is to become. And therefore, we get to learn experientially. We get to do it over and over and make mistakes and figure it out and get better and better and better and eventually master whatever that is with discipline and focus and goal setting and perseverance and confidence and respect and responsibility and accountability and all these wonderful things that allow us to succeed here in the Maya, and then moving forward while we're on that journey, understanding the purpose for it, understanding and being enlightened by it. And so you could hardly recognize these guys about 3 months after. We used, like I say, the physical realm, the arts, to teach things in the spiritual realm. And it was all about the life coaching. It wasn't about the arts. And that was how here we are having a blast. And of course, we're going to go through struggles, but amidst the struggles, we can have joy. And that's actually me without the beard and long hair, diving through them in the middle of them. And it's such an amazing, glorious experience for all of us. And they went on to teach others and to go ahead and go back to their slums and to their areas of where they originated and to bring more in. And it was fabulous. 7 years later, this is a picture of the group that was brought to New York City to perform. And I was this glorious experience, seeing them again, as Vanya Macias is in charge of that group down in Peru now. And so thus Promethean Spark International was born, my nonprofit organization that teaches essential life skills to impoverished youth worldwide through training in the performing arts. And it's such a powerful and beautiful bridge and methodology through the arts to break this cycle of poverty by inspiring change from inside. And when I say poverty, I just want to make sure that we're clear, poverty isn't just money. So poverty, and Mother Teresa was very clear on this. She says there's greater poverty than poverty of wealth, right? It's poverty of spirit, poverty of education, poverty of love, poverty, all these different levels of poverty that we deal with. And we can break that cycle of poverty in our lives. And this isn't just for those in the slums or leprosy colonies or prisons or such. It's for all of us. And so I would like to share with you this Swami Vivekananda. I just love him and his work, and he explains this concept of the tamas, rajas, and sattva, the three gunas in the Vedantic texts that we read about, and he talks about the three levels of the mind that we deal with as we move towards enlightenment. And he says, you know, this darkness, it's called the tamas, is found in brutes and idiots. It only acts to injure. No other idea comes into the state of mind. And oftentimes the tamas level is compared to instinct, almost on an animal level. Like you see the cats and the dogs, they'll lounge around and be indolent and aren't seeking knowledge or growth, and then they'll eat And then they'll, if something comes in their territory, they'll fight. And so that kind of a mentality, which we all have an element of that in us. And then we have the rajas, the active state of mind, whose chief motives are power and enjoyment. I'll be powerful and rule others. And oftentimes rajas is like an empire state of mind. Like, I am going to gain more wealth. I am going to, and this is kind of where a lot of us live much of our lives is in the world today. You know, seeking to get more money, more things. And kind of just ruling over the Maya, right? Being able to understand and have control and and comparison, right? Comparing with other people, be more powerful, more wealthy, more, and this comparison mindset. And then we jump to the sattva level, which brings us to a serenity, a calmness, in which the waves cease and the water of the mind lake becomes clear. It's not inactive, but rather intensely active inside, right? That's, as I was talking about, teaching that, changing the cycle of poverty, breaking the cycle of poverty by inspiring change from within. It's highly intensely active inside. It's the greatest manifestation of the power to be calm. So with that sattva level, we also see in many practices it's a charity level. It's a level when you get there, but then it's not all about me. It's, how can I serve? How can I be of use for others? And how the abundance that's come to me, now what can I do with it? And all of a sudden the purpose, the why changes. And you're able to utilize the blessings you've been given, the talents you've been given to bless others. And it's powerful. Ralph Waldo Emerson, powerful quote that helps us understand how we can move forward in this progression of enlightenment, this path of enlightenment. So again, it's not a destination, it is a path of enlightenment. And that which we persist in doing becomes easier to do. Not that the nature of the thing has changed, but the ability to do it has increased. How powerful is that? Because it's not only playing tennis and learning computers and dancing and running and all of these physical things. It's also in the spiritual realm. It's also forgiveness. If we persist in being a forgiving person, we'll get better at it. Forgiveness doesn't change, but we're better at doing it. Love, we can become better at loving if we practice it more and more and more. And gratitude, we can be more gracious and have so much gratitude and live in that space. And as we practice it and spend more time doing it, our ability to do it increases. So beautiful and powerful as these steps, we learn these steps on our path of enlightenment. Now, this here is a beautiful picture. My mother, as I grew up, dabbled in painting, and she had an innate ability, and it was so wonderful to see her expand and grow. And you see down in the bottom corner there, you see her name, Sandra, is written there, and this is the farmhouse. And it is beautiful with that mountain in the background. And it's, I just love this pastoral picture. And here's another one that she did. I call it Sakura. It's the cherry blossoms. And it's just the peace that comes from just looking at this. I mean, it's beyond words. It surpasses. It moves into a realm that is for the spirit, that connects us. Again, the arts is a beautiful bridge between the spirit and the physical realm. And this one, absolutely my favorite. I call it Hope, Light in the Darkness. And these are all beautiful manifestations from the spiritual realm into the physical realm of my mother. And I honor her because she is the one, her and my father, as I grew up, taught me these concepts. And I am so grateful for them and the foundation they laid for me, now that I get to go forward and continue to learn and then pass on to others. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick little story about Vimal Kant, who is a dear friend of mine. I taught him for over 10 years, and he struggled deeply. You see a big smile on his face. He tried so hard to stay positive, but he struggled. He was from a leprosy colony in southern India, and he was abused. I'm not going to go into how, but use your imagination and you're probably right. He was outcast. He was cast out from the outcasts. I mean, that's pretty low, right? He really struggled, but he joined our life dance troupe, which is the first ever dance troupe comprised of youth from leprosy colonies. And here we are. That's me leaning over and stretching with him as he employed all these life skills. That's him in the red shirt all the way to the left as you look at the screen in the picture. And as a young man, he continued to grow, and over the years learned how to become a powerful creator in his own right. And just quickly, one of the most beautiful things that happened, he was in 10th grade, right? And in India, 10th grade is a big deal. You take these tests. It's almost like the SAT test here in the United States. And he and his class were going in to take the test. And I had told them before, all of them struggled with math. And I told them, instead of taking your math book before you do your homework and saying, "Oh, I hate this. This is so hard. Oh," and then opening it and starting, hug it, love it. I love you. Thank you for letting me learn. I'm so excited. And then start, and you'll see a difference in your test scores. You'll see a difference in how you do it and all that. Well, I told them, when you go in to take this test, do the same thing. Hug your test. Give it a kiss. Mwah, I love you, and then begin. And so they all got in line, and there's very strict, all these monitors, teachers around watching. And then Vimal went up and picked up his test. And it was so funny, because I asked the class, I said, "So did any of you hug your test?" And everyone pointed at Vimal and started laughing. And I was like, "What happened?" And he says, "I went out and picked up my test. And as I turned and walked away, I hugged it really tight. And I bent down and I kissed it. And they stopped, and they were like, 'Stop, stop, everyone stop.'" And the whole room went silent and frozen, and they grabbed him and they checked, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" They checked all his pockets. They said, "Well, are you cheating? What's happening? Why you?" And then they finally said, "Stop. Why are you doing that? What did you do?" He says, "Oh, my guru told me that if I hug the test and say I love you and kiss it, that I'll get a better score." They laughed and said, "Yeah, absolutely. Hug and kiss your test and go to your seat." And they were very friendly with him from then on. And he got a great score on his math test. It was really fun as he learned and grew. And this is him now as he is in college studying music and the music industry, music business. So it's very exciting to see them grow. Now through my practice and teaching these youth over the years, it has gotten me to dig deeper into myself. And I have developed a meditation practice calming the waves of my sea and going deep into the depths of my ocean, or creating a calm pond every day. Just taking that time every single day to completely clear everything. And it's been a powerful and beautiful practice. Here I am in Mahabalipuram at the ancient temple meditating. And then this is in Oregon at Rockaway Beach in a cave doing some meditation. And then here I am at the highest point in Manhattan meditating by this beautiful tree that overlooks the Hudson River in Fort Tryon Park. And at literally in this place, it's through meditation that I've received so many revelations and been able to create things in my own right through revelation and inspiration. And it was right here that I received the inspiration to write the poem that I'm about to share with you. And this poem has meant a lot to me. I just wrote it about a year ago. This picture was taken a year ago. And so here, just to make this a little easier. "Master," I asked, genuflecting thus, "what is the answer to transcendent peace for all of us?" "My child," he smiled as he shared this reply, "the answer is within thee, but thy senses belie. For thou art more than thee, on thy heart thou must rely. Seek to see reality through thy spiritual eye." He then began to chant, "Thou art the earth, thou art the trees, thou art the clouds floating on the breeze. Thou art the sky, thou art the air. Thou art the flowers and the bees. Thou art the mountain. Thou art the ocean. Thou art the wind thou canst not see. Thou art the sun. Thou art the moon. Thou art the stars of the canopy. Thou art the rainbow and the rain. Thou art the falcon flying free. Thou art the still placid pond and the waves of the storm-tossed sea. To the door of transcendent peace, my child, I give thee the key. I abide in the universe, and the universe in me. Incline thine heart to this simple truth and set thy soul free. I abide in the universe, and the universe in me. Realize this moment now is eternity. No struggle, no strife, seeking whom thou wouldst be. Peace will follow when thou dost see. Thou art me, and I am thee. Every single day, we all share breath, the air. And I'm now, as we close this speech, I am going to share with you something that I recreated, and I want you to envision, not only do we share breath with other human beings and animals, but with all nature, and look at the glorious, majestic artwork of the source, of God. You see how we are truly one. There we go. Now we're ready. Please join me on the parts that are for all of us. What will it take for the world to heal? And will we put down our sword and shield? What will it take for our hearts to feel compassion for all humanity? We can breathe together. We must breathe together. Let us breathe together, for we are one. Though the world lives half day and half night, we live on love and light. With millions on our team, the goal is in sight. This is not a dream, this is our birthright. If we annihilate anything, let's annihilate prejudice. For we are one. If we terminate anything, let's terminate trafficking. For we are one. If we eradicate anything, well, let's eradicate corruption. For we are one. And darkness drive out dark, peace drive out hate. Only love and light show us the way. And as one, it is not too late. If we abolish anything, let's abolish bigotry. For we are one. If we eradicate anything, let's eradicate corruption. For we are one. If we alleviate anything, let's alleviate suffering. For we are one. We rejoice in the goodness of humanity. Make a choice, transcend the insanity. Live by words of the sages on the pages on the shelves. What we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. will stand as one united earth. Will oppression divide. The time has come to proclaim our worth and actively create peace. Yes, the time has come to proclaim our worth and actively create peace. What will it take for the world to be? When will we put down our swords and shields? What will it take for our hearts to feel compassion for all humanity? We can breathe together. We must breathe together. Let us breathe together, for we are one. Thank you so much for having me. I give you a challenge. Take time each day to still your pond, to go deep where it's perfectly beautiful and still, just a few minutes every day. Marinate in that love and forgiveness and gratitude. Breathe deliberately, focused only on the breath multiple times every day. It'll bring you to a beautiful state of peace and calm as you learn to live in the sattva level and more enlightened along the journey. And practice art. This is Kurt Vonnegut that said this. I love the way he says it. Practice art, music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, reportage, no matter how well or badly. Not to get money and fame, but to experience becoming, to find out what's inside you, to make your soul grow. Let's use the arts to bridge that gap in our lives between spiritual and physical and truly become and be enlightened along the path. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Shaun.
Thank you. I apologize. I went a little over time.
So this is a very humble token of appreciation to you, dear Shaun. The World United proudly presents Shaun Parry for being an esteemed presenter for the World Parliament on Spirituality, 3rd edition, North America chapter. Thank you very much, Shaun.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.